The skyline of New York City became a vibrant canvas of illumination as the celestial vessel, the Star Weaver, made its descent through the planet's atmosphere. Its bioluminescent structure painted the twilight sky with intricate, shimmering patterns. Inside the cockpit, Ken found himself captivated by the sight of Lyra, whose sapphire skin seemed to radiate even more brightly against the backdrop of Earth's sky. Her lithe form was taut with anticipation as she grasped the co-pilot seat. "Are you doing all right?" he inquired gently, his focus momentarily distracted by the way the city lights reflected across her luminous markings. "The energy here," she uttered with a grimace, her sculpted features contorted in discomfort. "It's chaotic, discordant." Behind them, the other 5 warrior ambassadors expressed similar sensations of unease. Each was as striking as Lyra, their azure complexions ranging from deep midnight to vibrant cerulean. Their athletic builds were emphasized by the form-fitting ceremonial attire, which appeared to flow like liquid crystal. Their inherent bioluminescence flickered erratically, creating a captivating spectacle of light that reacted to the overwhelming surge of electromagnetic frequencies from below. Ken forced his attention to the landing coordinates. The designated first contact site, a cleared area in Central Park, loomed beneath them. As they touched down, the warriors' discomfort became more pronounced. Coral, the youngest ambassador, whose skin resembled the hues of tropical waters and whose movements possessed the grace of flowing silk, pressed her hands against the viewport. "Oh, the heart of the forest," she gasped. "How can your people endure such noise?" "Most of us don't perceive it," Ken reminded them, watching as Lyra moved with her usual fluid elegance, transforming even this simple action into an artistic expression of movement. "Though I'm starting to now, thanks to the shift. It's like static electricity on steroids." Lyra focused her bioluminescent patterns, creating intricate designs across her azure skin. "The flora here, they're living, but they slumber." A sharp rap on the ship's hull interrupted her observation. Outside, a delegation of Earth officials waited. Their expressions fluctuated between a composed, diplomatic stance to open awe as the Earthen warriors emerged. Ken couldn't blame them. The 6 ambassadors looked like living artwork, their blue skin and bioluminescent markings creating a display that dwarfed Earth's most spectacular light shows. "Welcome to Earth," a distinguished woman stepped forward, visibly trying to maintain her composure. "I'm Dr. Sarah Miller, head of the Global First Contact Initiative." Several male scientists in the delegation appeared to have lost their ability to speak, their eyes fixated on the graceful movements of the warriors with poorly disguised appreciation. Ken noticed one almost collide with a piece of equipment, his attention diverted by Coral's practice of combat forms to center her energy. "Greetings," Lyra responded formally, her regal demeanor making Dr. Miller look almost plain in comparison. "I am Lyra, First Blade of the Earthen Ambassadorial Corps." "First Blade," one of the scientific advisors whispered, his voice cracking slightly. "Is that a military title?" "Actually," Ken interjected smoothly, trying not to smirk at the human's reaction, "it's more like, well, imagine if a diplomat could photosynthesize." The Earthen warrior's laughter, like the tinkling of wind chimes in a gentle breeze, did little to help the humans regain their composure. Even the plants around the landing site seemed to stir, reaching towards the beautiful visitors. "Fascinating," Dr. Miller managed, her eyes darting between the warriors' ethereal beauty and their effect on the local flora. "You're actually communicating with the native flora." "Not yet," Lyra corrected her, her movements drawing every eye as she approached a nearby tree. "Your plants slumber deeply, but they dream of light." Before the scientists could overwhelm them with a flurry of questions, Ken guided the Earthen delegation toward their transport. The humans' heads turned in unison, tracking the warriors' fluid movements. The setting sun painted their blue skin in spectacular hues, their innate bioluminescence creating dancing patterns that reflected their mixed excitement and apprehension regarding Earth's energy. "I've arranged dinner at the Sky Garden," Ken told Lyra as they settled into the vehicle. "Best view of the city and," he lowered his voice, "fewer electronic frequencies up there." This dating ritual, Lyra shifted closer, her shoulder brushing against his in a way that ignited sparks of shared energy between them. "You still haven't explained that you combat protocols." "That's because there aren't any," he grinned, amused by how her bewilderment caused her luminescent markings to swirl. Just dinner conversation and maybe some dancing. Dancing? Coral perked up from her seat, her aquamarine skin brightening with interest. Like the energy dances of the forest? Not precisely, Ken caught Lyra's eye, though I'm sure you'll invent your own version. The restaurant staff nearly dropped their tablets when the Erzan warriors entered. Lyra commanded attention simply by existing. Her royal blue skin and athletic grace made her seem like a goddess who had stepped out of legend. The candlelit atmosphere created mesmerizing reflections off their bioluminescent patterns. Why do they stare? Lyra whispered as they were led to their table. Have we violated some protocol? They stare because you're beautiful, Ken replied simply. Humans aren't used to seeing women who literally glow with inner light. The candlelight on their table flared briefly as Lyra's energy reacted to his words. You say such improbable things, but her patterns betrayed her delight at the compliment. Their first Earth dinner evolved into a comical series of cultural misunderstandings. Lyra initially perceived the wine service as a ritualistic poison challenge. Coral caused a minor sensation by asking the decorative arrangements of plants about their sleep patterns. And when dessert arrived, all 6 warriors lit up like Christmas trees at their first taste of chocolate. This, Lyra stared at her chocolate souffle with wide eyes, her skin pulsing with delight. This is worthy of combat trials. Just wait till you try ice cream, Ken laughed, then caught his breath as she licked chocolate from her lips, her blue skin making the simple gesture seem somehow ethereal. As the evening progressed, other diners kept finding reasons to walk past their table, captivated by the otherworldly beauty of the Erzan delegation. Several men actually walked into pillars, distracted by Coral's practice of energy centering near the windows. Your people are very clumsy, Lyra observed, watching another businessman stumble while staring at her sisters. Only when faced with impossibly beautiful, blue-skinned warriors who can talk to plants, Ken responded dryly, give us a break. You're literally the stuff of science fiction come to life. The evening ended with an impromptu light show as the warriors, relaxed by wine and chocolate, let their inherent bioluminescence dance freely. The restaurant's plants, though dormant, seemed to lean towards them, drawn to their energy like flowers reaching for the sun. It was only the beginning of Earth's fascination with the Erzan ambassadors. But watching Lyra's delight at discovering chocolate, Ken knew one thing for certain: life on Earth was about to become infinitely more intriguing. After dinner, Ken proposed a walk through Central Park to help the warriors acclimate to Earth's energy patterns. In the relative serenity of midnight, their bioluminescence painted the pathways in ethereal light. The trees here, Lyra paused, placing her hand against an ancient oak. Her blue skin seemed to shimmer in the moonlight. They remembered dancing with energy long ago. Earth's plants evolved differently, Ken explained, mesmerized by how her luminous markings flowed down her arm into the bark, no natural bioluminescence. But he trailed off as a soft glow began to emanate from the point where Lyra touched the tree. The light spread slowly through the branches, creating a faint web of illumination. Impossible, Coral breathed, her aquamarine skin brightening with exhilaration. The other warriors gathered around, their combined energy making the phenomenon stronger. Not impossible, Lyra's eyes met Ken's, glowing with that inner fire he loved. Just sleeping, like you were before Urza awakened you. Their moment was interrupted by the sound of approaching footsteps. A group of late-night joggers rounded the corner then stopped, frozen by the sight before them, 6 breathtakingly beautiful blue-skinned women surrounded by softly glowing trees. Is this some kind of art installation? One man asked, openly staring at Coral's lithe form as she directed energy through another tree's branches. Something like that, Ken stepped forward, private demonstration. Very hush-hush, right? Another jogger couldn't tear his eyes from Lyra. Are you all like performers or something? Because that body paint is incredible. Lyra's confusion at being called a performer made her pattern swirl attractively. We are warriors of Urza, she stated proudly, not painters of bodies. The joggers' jaws dropped collectively as they processed her otherworldly accent and the fact that her skin was actually glowing. Maybe we should go, the first man said weakly, though he made no move to leave, unless, would you ladies like company while you paint bodies, or whatever? Ken felt Lyra's energy spike with amusement. These males wish to court, she whispered. Should I prepare the combat trials? No combat trials, Ken laughed, then addressed the mesmerized joggers. Sorry guys, this is a closed diplomatic function, you understand. Diplomatic? Wait, are you the aliens from the news? The ones that landed today? Before Ken could answer, Coral succeeded in awakening another tree. The sudden burst of bioluminescence sent the joggers stumbling backward in shock. We should probably call someone about this. One of them was already pulling out his phone. I mean, the trees are actually glowing and we're actually leaving. Ken decided quickly. Ladies, I think it's time for a tactical retreat. The warriors moved with liquid grace, disappearing into the shadows, despite their luminous skin. Lyra lingered just long enough to press her hand to one more tree. Sweet dreams, she whispered to it, then took Ken's hand. The contact sent visible sparks of energy between them as they made their way back to their quarters, leaving a trail of faintly glowing trees in their wake. Ken couldn't help but smile. So, how was your first Earth date? Interesting, Lyra's fingers intertwined with his, their shared energy creating patterns of light around their joined hands, though I still don't understand why combat isn't involved. Trust me, he pulled her closer, watching how the moonlight played across her azure skin. Earth's dating rituals have their own kind of excitement. The kiss they shared lit up half the park. And, somewhere in the distance, they could hear the joggers exclaiming over their phones, "You're not going to believe what we just saw." Ken's spacious Manhattan apartment wasn't quite ready for 6 Earthen warriors. As he opened the door, Lyra and her sisters stared at the modern living space with a blend of curiosity and bewilderment. "This is a dwelling?" Lyra asked, her blue skin reflected in the floor-to-ceiling windows. "Where are the energy pools? The living walls?" "Welcome to Earth architecture," Ken grinned. "We're more into static furniture and electric appliances." Coral approached the television with warrior-like caution. "This black rectangle, it contains trapped spirits." "That's a TV," Ken began to explain, but before he could finish, Coral had dropped into a defensive crouch, her luminescent patterns flaring in warning. "Be calm, sister," she addressed the television solemnly. "We will free you from your prison." "Wait, no." Ken lunged forward, but it was too late. Coral had already pressed her hands to the screen, attempting to communicate with it. The resulting surge of her energy caused every electronic device in the apartment to go haywire. "The spirits are agitated," another warrior, Ustra, declared as the lights flickered and the smart home system began playing death metal at full volume. "Those aren't spirits," Ken shouted over the chaos, trying to reach his short-circuiting entertainment system. "It's just technology." Lyra, meanwhile, had discovered the bathroom. "Ken, the water here is trapped in smooth stones. How do we free it?" "Those are faucets," he ran to prevent a plumbing disaster. "You just turn the handle." "No, not with energy, with your hands." Too late. Lyra's attempt to liberate the water with her energy caused every faucet in the apartment to explode. Open water sprayed everywhere as the warriors tried to calm it with their powers. Their bioluminescence created a spectacular light show, reflected in the impromptu indoor rain. "The dwelling fights back," Coral announced with inappropriate enthusiasm, still trying to free the spirits from every screen she could find. "No one is fighting," Ken was now soaked, sliding across his flooded floor. "Lyra, please tell them to stop trying to save my appliances." Lyra, her blue skin glistening with water droplets that made her look like a sea goddess, finally seemed to understand. "Sisters, stand down. The water and spirits here are domesticated." The chaos gradually subsided, leaving Ken's apartment looking like a disco had exploded in a swimming pool. The warriors gathered in the center of the mess, their luminescent patterns slightly sheepish. "So," Lyra ventured, wringing water from her hair, "this is not how Earth dwellings usually function." "Not usually, no." Ken couldn't help but laugh at the sight of 6 gorgeous alien warriors looking like drowned cats in his flooded living room. Though I have to admit, the light show was impressive. Perhaps, Lyra moved closer, her wet skin sending tiny sparks of energy between them. "You should teach us more about these domesticated spirits." "I think we'll start with how to use a shower," he grinned, then quickly added, as Coral brightened, one at a time. And no energy communication with the plumbing. Earth customs are very strange, Lyra observed, but her patterns betrayed her amusement. Though watching you try to explain them is entertaining. Just wait till you discover the microwave, Ken muttered, already envisioning the chaos that would ensue when they encountered more modern appliances. Now, who wants to learn about Earth's mysterious tradition of cleaning up water damage? The warriors' collective confusion at the concept of mopping suggested this was going to be a very long night. The water chamber ritual begins with this dial, Ken explained, demonstrating the shower controls to his attentive audience of warriors. Their luminescent patterns reflected off the bathroom tiles, creating a disco-like atmosphere in the small space. But why trap the water behind this clear barrier? Lyra asked, tapping the shower door with curiosity. On Urza, we bathe in open pools beneath the glowing trees. Earth is a bit more private about these things. Ken tried to focus on the controls rather than how close Lyra was standing now. Hot water is red, cold is blue, like our skin temperatures, Coral exclaimed, pressing her aquamarine hand against the temperature dial. The shower immediately erupted in a geyser of steam. No energy manipulation. Ken lunged for the controls, but slipped on the now wet floor. Lyra caught him with her warrior reflexes, their wet clothes creating intriguing energy patterns where they touched. Perhaps, she suggested, her eye sparkling with that inner fire, you should demonstrate this ritual properly. I'll let you figure it out, Ken managed, very aware of 6 pairs of glowing eyes watching him with amusement. Just remember, no energy communion with the plumbing, normal clothes off, shower clothes on, and please use the towel after. He retreated to the living room, already hearing excited discussions about water temperature harmonics behind him. What could possibly go wrong? 20 minutes later, he got his answer when Astra walked casually into the living room, her glowing blue skin completely bare except for her luminescent patterns. The water ritual was successful, she announced proudly, though I don't understand the purpose of these shower clothes you mentioned. On Urza, we commune with water in our natural state. Ken choked on his coffee, spinning to face the wall. Astra, the towels. Remember the towels we talked about? Oh, the ceremonial drying cloths, she seemed genuinely puzzled. I thought those were for decoration, like the small paper squares beside the water throne. The what? No, never mind. Please just go put something on. Is this another strange Earth custom? Astra's pattern swirled with curiosity. Hiding our natural forms? Yes, Ken kept his eyes firmly fixed on the wall, very important Earth custom. Ken, Lyra's voice came from the hallway, why is Astra conducting energy patterns in the living space without coverings? I'm teaching her about Earth's clothing customs, he replied weakly, or trying to, He could hear the amusement in Lyra's voice. Sisters, it seems we must adapt to Earth's modesty protocols. Astra, come, I will explain about these towels and their significance. As the warriors retreated to figure out earth-bathing customs, Ken slumped against the wall. The apartment's plants, which had been quietly soaking up the excess energy, seemed to be laughing at him. Not one word, he told the ficus. Not one word. Later, when everyone was properly dressed, though it took some convincing that Earth clothes didn't need to respond to emotional states, Lyra found him still glaring at the ficus. You know, she said, sliding her arms around him from behind, their shared energy creating familiar patterns of light. For someone who adapted so well to Urza's customs, you're very particular about Earth's. That's different, he turned to face her, trying not to notice how Earth clothes hugged her athletic form. On Urza, I just had to worry about not getting eaten. Here, I have to worry about 6 warrior women accidentally causing an interplanetary incident by misunderstanding indoor plumbing. Impossible, man, she laughed, her patterns brightening. Always so concerned with proper protocols. Speaking of protocols, he pulled her closer, enjoying how their bioluminescence synchronized. Maybe we should establish some private customs of our own. The kiss they shared lit up the entire apartment, and somewhere in the bathroom, they could hear Coral asking if the water spirits always responded to romantic energy this enthusiastically.